High in the Ötztal Alps, over 5,000 years ago, a man sat down for what would be his final meal. He was tired, likely hunted, and resting at an altitude that would make modern hikers winded. From his pouch, he pulled strips of dried meat and a few handfuls of grain. He didn't know that millennia later, scientists would analyze the very atoms of this meal to reconstruct not just his final moments, but the entire world he lived in. This man, known to the world as Otzi the Iceman, has become the most famous patient in the field of paleodietary reconstruction. When researchers peered into his stomach using advanced tomography and molecular analysis, they didn't just find food, they found a story. They found ibex and red deer meat, ancient einkorn wheat, and traces of toxic bracken fern. They found that his diet was a staggering 50% fat, a caloric necessity for surviving in a frozen alpine landscape. Paleodietary reconstruction is the scientific discipline that allows us to time travel through our stomachs. It is not merely a list of ingredients. It is the study of human adaptation, social hierarchy, migration, and the very evolution of our species. By analyzing chemical signatures in bone collagen, microscopic scratches on tooth enamel, and invisible fats trapped in pottery shards, archaeologists are rewriting history. They are debunking modern fads like the paleo diet, revealing the gritty reality of cannibalism, and showing us that the phrase "you are what you eat" is a truth that echoes across thousands of years. To reconstruct a diet that disappeared thousands of years ago, archaeologists rely on a toolkit that borrows heavily from chemistry, biology, and geology. These methods act as distinct lenses, each revealing a different layer of the past. The backbone of modern paleodietary studies is the principle of isotopic fractionation. The old adage is chemically literal. The tissues of your body are built from the nutrients you consume, and those nutrients carry specific atomic weights, or isotopes, derived from the environment. Carbon isotopes allow us to track plants. Plants photosynthesize in different ways, creating distinct chemical signatures known as C3 and C4 pathways. C3 plants include wheat, barley, rice, fruits, and nuts, typically found in temperate climates. These have lower carbon-13 values. Conversely, C4 plants like maize, millet, sorghum, and sugarcane thrive in tropical or arid climates and have higher carbon-13 values. By measuring carbon isotopes in bone collagen, we can tell if a population was eating wheat or corn. It also helps distinguish between terrestrial and marine diets, as marine organisms are enriched in carbon-13. Then there is nitrogen, the trophic level tracker. With every step up the food chain, nitrogen-15 concentrates in the body. Vegans have low nitrogen-15 values. Omnivores have moderate levels. Carnivores have high levels. And marine hunters have extremely high levels, because aquatic food chains are longer. This method was key in discovering that Neanderthals were top-level carnivores, often occupying a trophic position higher than hyenas. But if isotopes are the chemistry of diet, microwear is the physics. This is dental microwear texture analysis. The food we chew leaves microscopic traces on our teeth, including pits, scratches, and gouges. Hard objects like nuts, seeds, and bone create complex pitted surfaces. Tough foods like fibrous leaves and meat create long, parallel scratches. By using 3D confocal microscopy, researchers map these landscapes on tooth enamel. This tells us about the physical properties of the food eaten in the last few weeks of life. It is how we know that Paranthropus boise, once nicknamed Nutcracker Man because of his massive jaws, was actually eating mostly soft grasses, not hard nuts. We also look at organic residue analysis. Ceramic pots are the Tupperware of antiquity. Even after thousands of years, unglazed pottery retains chemical ghosts, specifically lipids or fats, trapped in the porous clay matrix. Using gas chromatography mass spectrometry, scientists can extract these fats and identify them. Dairy fats have a distinct isotopic signature compared to adipose fats found in meat. This technique has been revolutionary in mapping the spread of milk consumption across Neolithic Europe and the Indus Valley. Finally, there is the cutting-edge field of paleoproteomics. While DNA degrades relatively quickly, proteins are more robust. This field analyzes ancient proteins, like those found in dental calculus, to identify specific species consumed. Dental calculus is essentially fossilized plaque. It traps bacteria, starch grains, and food proteins, acting as a fossilized mouth swab. Analysis of Neanderthal calculus has revealed they ate woolly rhinoceros and wild mushrooms, and even used natural aspirin found in poplar bark. Now let us apply this science to the myths we tell ourselves today. Modern culture is obsessed with a Paleolithic diet, a regimen of high meat, no grains, and no processed sugars. While the exclusion of processed sugar is accurate, the archaeological record shatters the rest of the fantasy. Recent studies of starch grains trapped in dental calculus show that Paleolithic humans were eating wild oats, tubers, and legumes long before agriculture. Furthermore, diversity was the rule. There was no single paleo diet. The Inuit ancestor ate almost 100% meat and fat, while the Hadza ancestor ate predominantly tubers and honey. The natural human diet is defined by flexibility, not a specific food list. However, the menu of the past has a darker side. One of the most chilling chapters in dietary history comes from the Grandolina Cave in Spain. Here, in layers dating back 850,000 years, archaeologists found the remains of Homo antecessor. Among the animal bones of deer and bison were human bones. Crucially, the human bones bore the exact same butchery marks as the animals, including skinning marks, defleshing cuts, and marrow extraction fractures where bones are cracked open. The victims included children and adolescents. A recently analyzed cervical vertebra of a 2 to 4-year-old child showed clear-cut marks indicating decapitation. The verdict is that this was gastronomic cannibalism. They were eating humans for nutrition rather than ritual. It suggests that for early hominins, other humans were simply another source of meat in a resource-competitive environment. The biggest dietary change in human history was the Neolithic transition, the shift from hunting and gathering to farming. It brought stability, but it also brought malnutrition, cavities, and a drop in height. A prime example is Cahokia, located near modern-day St. Louis. It was the largest pre-Columbian city north of Mexico, booming around AD 1050. Its rise is inextricably linked to one plant, maize. Because maize is a C4 plant and the native vegetation of the Mississippi Valley is C3, maize leaves a screamingly loud signal in the carbon isotopes of human bone. Before AD 900, the isotopic signature of the region's inhabitants is typical of a mixed diet of nuts, seeds, and venison. Suddenly, between AD 900 and 1000, there is a massive spike in carbon-13. This indicates a rapid, almost abrupt adoption of maize agriculture. This corn explosion fueled the population boom that built the massive mounds of Cahokia. However, it came at a cost. Skeletons from this period show increased porotic hyperostosis, a sign of iron deficiency anemia, and dental cavities caused by the high-sugar, starchy corn diet. The corn mothers fed the city, but they also plagued its health. As societies became more complex, diet became a marker of status. The phrase, "tell me what you eat, and I will tell you who you are," applies perfectly to the archaeological record. Popular culture depicts Roman gladiators as hulking, meat-eating beasts. But isotopic analysis of bones from a gladiator cemetery in Ephesus, Turkey, tells a different story. The bones revealed high strontium levels and low nitrogen values compared to the general population. This profile indicates a diet heavy in plants and very low in animal protein. Historical texts referred to gladiators as hordearii, or barley eaters. The high strontium to calcium ratios in their bones confirm they consumed a special ash drink, a concoction of charred plant ash and vinegar. This was essentially a prehistoric calcium supplement, crucial for healing bone fractures sustained in the arena. They were fueled by carbs and ash, not steak. Moving up the social ladder, we look at King Richard III. When his skeleton was discovered under a parking lot in Leicester in 2012, it offered a rare opportunity to track the diet of a specific historical figure over his lifetime. Scientists analyzed 3 different tissues: teeth, which form in childhood and provide a locked-in signal; the femur, which remodels slowly over 10 to 15 years; and the ribs, which remodel quickly, averaging the last 2 to 3 years of life. His teeth showed a standard high-status diet, but his ribs, reflecting his short reign as king, showed a massive jump in nitrogen-15 and oxygen isotopes. The nitrogen spike indicates a huge increase in luxury proteins, like freshwater fish, game birds, such as swan and heron, and potentially marine mammals. The oxygen shift is attributed to a significant increase in wine consumption, which has a different water source than local English rainwater. Richard literally drank and feasted his way through his kingship. We can also see class distinctions at sea. The sinking of Henry VIII's flagship, the Mary Rose, in 1545, preserved a time capsule of Tudor naval life. Analysis of oxygen and sulfur isotopes in the crew's teeth revealed that not all of them were English. Some had isotopic signatures consistent with warmer, southern climates, likely southern Europe or North Africa. Nitrogen analysis showed the crew had a diet surprisingly high in terrestrial protein. This aligns with naval records of rations consisting of salted beef, pork, and ship's biscuits. Despite being surrounded by the sea, they weren't eating much fish. In that era, fish was for fast days and the poor. Beef was the fuel of the Navy. Sometimes, isotope analysis corrects the history books entirely. For decades, historians believe the Norse settlements in Greenland collapsed because the stubborn Vikings refused to adapt to the climate, clinging to European farming instead of adopting Inuit hunting tactics. Isotope analysis has debunked this failure to adapt myth. Early Viking settlers had diets that were 80% terrestrial, relying on beef, dairy, and sheep. However, as the climate cooled during the Little Ice Age, isotopic analysis of later skeletons shows a dramatic shift. By the end of the settlement period, their diet was up to 80% marine. The reality is that they did adapt. They became seal hunters. A phenomenon known as the marine reservoir effect, where marine carbon makes dates look older, had initially confused radiocarbon dating, making researchers think the Vikings died out earlier, or didn't eat fish. Correcting for this showed they survived for centuries by gorging on seal meat. Their eventual disappearance wasn't a failure of diet, but likely a collapse of the ivory trade and social isolation. The field of paleodietary reconstruction is currently undergoing a molecular revolution, moving beyond bulk carbon and nitrogen into uncharted territories. Zinc isotopes in tooth enamel are a new game-changer. Nitrogen isotopes are great for trophic level, but are easily ruined by decay in old fossils. Zinc is robust and preserves for millions of years. Zinc levels decrease as you go up the food chain. This method recently confirmed the carnivorous diet of megalodon sharks and is now being applied to early hominins to settle debates about scavenging versus hunting. We are also looking at magnesium isotopes, which offer a new way to look at dietary structure, helping to distinguish between plant sources and track physiological stress. Perhaps most intimately, calcium isotopes are revolutionizing the study of childhood. Breast milk has a distinct calcium isotope signature. By microsampling the enamel of baby teeth, which grow in layers like tree rings, scientists can pinpoint the exact month a child stopped breastfeeding. This weaning age is a critical demographic variable, linked to fertility rates and population growth in ancient societies. Paleodietary reconstruction has transformed archaeology from a discipline of objects like pottery and arrowheads to a discipline of biology. It has humanized the past. We now know that the mighty gladiator ate beans to survive, that the primitive hunter-gatherer understood the medicinal value of plants, and that the stubborn Viking was actually a flexible survivor. Every bone, every tooth, and every potsherd is a biological archive. As technology advances, moving into single amino acid analysis and deep proteomic sequencing, we will likely uncover even more intimate details. We may soon know not just what they ate, but how they seasoned it, how they cooked it, and perhaps, via the microbiome, how it made them feel. The menu of the past is open. We are just learning how to read it.